Slope. This is a review of part 4. In today's lesson, students will calculate the slope between 2 points using the slope formula. Using what? Very good. To review, slope is rise over run. What is slope? Rise over run. And it can be defined as the change in y divided by the change in x. What did I say? The change in y divided by the change in x. Or as the song goes, I think it goes, slope, slope, change in y at the top, change in x bottom. Okay, so slope is a fraction, it's a ratio, it's a rate. And in order to calculate slope, we could do it by visually figuring out, okay, what's the rise over run? Or we can calculate it using the slope formula. So the slope formula is y, this is called sub 2, y sub 2 or y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So we're given these 2 points, okay? So just by looking at the line, we are going to ask ourselves, what is the change in y? Which means the y values, which are, I'm going to circle them, -3 and 5, okay? To get from -3 to 5, which is here, how many units do we rise up? We rise up how many? Basically, what is 3 plus 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? So that's the rise. The rise is 8. And the run would be how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 4 is the difference between -7 and -3, right? So we're at -7 here, and we end at -3. That's 4 units. So the slope, technically, if we did it between these 2 points, would be 8 over 4. What is 8 divided by 4? 8 divided by 4 is, what is it? It's 2. So the slope is 2. Now let's confirm that by calculating the change in y divided by the change in x. So I'll do the exact same thing, where, you know what, I'm going to circle -3 and 5. I'm always going to start with y sub 2, and then I'm going to subtract a -3. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to start with 5, because that's y2, minus, and in parentheses I'm going to write -3. Okay, can we see that? 5 minus a -3. Divided by, and let's go ahead and set it up. Let's underline it. x2, which is here, is -3, and x sub 1 is -7. So I'm going to say -3 minus a -7. So the main thing that you want to realize is that when you have a negative and a negative and there's parentheses, it means they're being multiplied. It means they're being what? Multiplied. And I don't mind if you say negative times negative is positive and turn this into a positive. What's negative times negative? It's positive, and you can turn that to a positive. All right? Now we're figuring out the slope. We already know what it is, but we're just confirming it. So what is 5 plus 3? 5 plus 3 is 8 divided by, okay, now we need to look at this as a -3 and a +7. -3 and +7. Do they have the same signs or different signs? Different signs, right? So you say, different signs, subtract, keep the sign of the higher number, then you'll be exact. And you can also put this in a calculator, -3 plus 7, okay? And that is what? You're really subtracting 7 minus 3, which is 4. And again, you're getting that the slope is 2. Now that 2, when we go to graph it, we realize it's 2 over 1. But the slope is 2, meaning that if I go up 2 and over 1, I end up on the line. Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. So we see that 8 divided by 4, going up 8 and over 4, is the same as going up 2 over 1, because they are equal ratios. All right? So go ahead and get that down. Now let's calculate the slope of line number 2. So we're given a line with 2 points. The first point, which is x1, y1, is -1 up 4, so -1, 4. The second point is at 3, -8. So we're trying to figure out the slope. The slope is rise over run. And tell me about the slope. Is the line positive or is it negative? Is the line going up or is it going down? It's a negative slope, right? Okay. So what will we have to do first to figure out, well, what is the change in y? I want to go ahead and circle 4, which is the y value, and -8, which is the y value of these coordinate points. So to go from 4, okay, all the way down to -8, remember this is distance, all we really need to do is add 8 plus 4. How many units is that? It's what? That is, you're going down how many? Down how many? -12, right? And then how many would you go over? Which is your run, that's your change in x. When you take a look at x, you're going from -1, which is right here, -1 to 3. 1, 2, 3. From -1 to 3, we see that that's 4 units, correct? Okay, so this would be rise over run. So rise would be at the top, -12 divided by your run. -12 divided by 4. What's -12 divided by 4? -12 divided by 4 is -3. And I'm going to actually write this, -12 over 4, as -3 over 1. Okay? So that is the slope. Let's confirm that by calculating it. All right. So again, we're going to take what we circled, which is -8 and 4. We're going to subtract these values. We're going to do what? We're going to subtract. So we're going to take -8, because that's y2, minus a +4. I'm just going to write -4. All right? Divided by, now let's look at the x values. I'm going to underline them. We have x2. We're always going to start on the right. 3 minus a -1. Okay, so watch, because we're calculating integers here. 3 minus a -1. All right, we have a -8 and a -4. Are they the same signs or different signs? Same signs, right? So we say same signs, add and keep. And that's why -8 and -4 make -12, right? Which we found over here. We found that that was -12. Now we're going to divide it by the change in x. Before we do that, what is a negative multiplied by negative? Because what do parentheses tell you to do? They tell you to multiply. So I want you to make this negative times negative a positive. What's 3 plus 1? 3 plus 1 is 4. And we find here that -12 over 4 is actually the same as -3. If you want to put it over 1, you can. We can see that, right? Okay. So that is basically saying if I start here and I go down 3, down 1, 2, 3, and over 1, I would be at the line. I would be at a point on the line. Down 1, 2, 3, over 1, 1, 2, 3, over 1. Okay? Go ahead and get that down. Let's calculate the slope of this line. Would you say that the slope is going to be positive or negative? Is the line going up or is it going down? It's going up. Yeah. So we can do this visually, or we can use the formula. We are doing both, okay, to build the concept. So first we're going to talk about the slope formula. Slope formula is the change in y divided by the change in x. So if I just look at the y values, I have -5, which is here, okay, and I have -9. These are the blue ones, right? What do you think the difference is between -9 and 5? Or basically it's asking how many units are between -5 and 9. This is how much. It's up how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That's 4 units. Put 4 right there. All right, so going up 4, and then now let's look at the x values. X values are -8 and -10. So what is the difference between -10 and -8? How many units between these two? It's how many? It's 2. So here technically the slope, the rise over run, is 4 divided by 2. Hey, what's 4 divided by 2? 4 divided by 2 is 2. The slope is 2. We can call it 2 over 1 because that is also what's happening. Let's calculate the slope using the slope formula. So we're going to do y2 minus y1. So I want you to circle the y2 value and circle the y1. All right. So right next to the formula, we're going to write negative 9 minus a negative 5 divided by, and let's go ahead and underline the x values. We have a negative 10 minus, a lot of negatives, negative 10 minus a negative 8. So before we go to solve, we're going to ask ourselves something. Do you see a negative times a negative here? What is negative times negative? Negative times a negative is positive. All right? So I want you to change right here where you see these parentheses. Negative times negative is positive. And you also see it here. Negative times negative, change it to positive. And from here, you can work with integers. You have a negative 9 and a positive 5. Do those have the same signs or different signs? They have different signs, right? So you say different signs, subtract. Keep the sign of the higher number, then you'll be exact. So if you look at a negative 9 and a positive 5, when you subtract them, it's what? It's 4, but the bigger number is 9, so it's negative 4. If you don't know integers, please use a calculator at this point, okay? So at the top, you're going to get negative 4, correct? Okay, negative 4. Divided by, next you have a negative 10 and a positive 8. Do they have the same signs or different signs? Different signs, right? So you say different signs, subtract, keep the sign of the higher number, then you'll be exact. So we subtract these, 10 minus 8, and the bigger number is what? 10? All right. So you would get a negative 2, correct? All right, now look at this. The answer is negative 4 over negative 2. Is that the same as 4 over 2? Is that what we learned last week? What is negative divided by negative? It's positive, right? So what is the answer? The answer is, what's 4 divided by 2 again? 4 divided by 2 is 2. So, and as ratios, it would be written as 2 over 1. All right. Basically meaning if you go back to this line here, if you go back to the line, if we can see it, all right. All you have to do is go up 2 over 1 from any point on the line. Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, right? Because this has a positive slope. So go ahead and get that down. Now let's look at our last example. You're given 2 points and you're asked to calculate the slope. So the first point is negative 5, 3, which is x1, y1. Negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5 up 3, which is right here. And then 0, negative 7. So you're starting at 0, going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the y-intercept, okay? So we are trying to figure out, all right, what is the difference or the change in y to get from negative 7 to 3, which is here, negative 7 and 3. Circle those. So there's negative 7 here, but really you're going up how many? You're going up 7 plus 3 more is, it's 10, right? Going up 10 from the y-intercept. And then on the x-intercept, or on the x-axis, you're starting at 0, right? And you're going over in the negative direction, 5. So you're going over negative 5, which is telling you that this is a negative slope. So the rise is 10. The run is negative 5. What's 10 divided by negative 5? 10 divided by negative 5 is negative 2. All right, or we could write it as negative 2 over 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to confirm that the slope, in fact, is 10 over negative 5, or it's negative 2. All right, so we said negative 7, and we're going to have to, this is a subtraction sign, so we're going to do negative 7 minus 3, okay? And then we're going to do 0. remember, this is going to be minus and then in parentheses because you're subtracting a negative 5 here. All right. So when I say negative 7 minus a negative 3, I'm not actually saying to subtract them because you see here that this is 7 plus 3, right? Because it's distance. Do they have the same signs or different signs? Same signs, right? So you say same signs, add and keep. If you put negative 7 minus 3 in a calculator, you're going to get negative 10. All right. Okay. Divided by, ooh, do we have a negative times negative here? Yes. A negative times a negative is a positive. So what's 0 plus 5? 0 plus 5 is 5. And wouldn't you look at that? What we learned last week is negative 10 over positive 5 the same as what we originally found, 10 over negative 5. They're the same, okay? This is the or, remember that? Because that negative could be in the top, the numerator, or the denominator. But all of them equal to what? What is 10 divided by a negative 5? Or negative 10 divided by 5? It's the same. It's what? It's negative 2. And we can write that as negative 2 over 1. Let me move it over so you can see it. Okay, negative 2 over 1, which is technically the slope. So make sure you box the slope for your answer.